Today is Wednesday, January 20th, 2021, and I want to talk about children today and being a child. And Jesus told us that we have to be born again, and he also said this, Matthew chapter 19, verses 13 through 15. Then were there brought unto him little children, that he should put his hands on them and pray, and the disciples rebuked them. But Jesus said, Suffer little children, and forbid them not to come unto me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. And he laid his hands on them, and departed thence. And a lot of people find children annoying, but similar to, I think that's what's going on with this. The disciples thought that they're doing such big important things. Why should they be bothered with people bringing little children to them? You know, how often you can just think of so many scenarios. We're doing adult stuff here. Get the children away. And so I think that's kind of what's happening here. And I guess just what I can point out about this is I can think of so many scenarios in life. One of the biggest things about being a child that I remember is being treated like dirt from adults for no reason, just for being a child. They treat you like you're lesser just because you're a child. And growing up, now that I know about all the phonies and the imposter syndrome and how when you're a child, you assume adults know what they're doing, but when you're an adult, you see that the adults are a bunch of idiots. It makes me even more angry that people treated me lesser when I was young, because I didn't used to be dumb. I used to be so much smarter about a lot of things, and just your spirits get crushed. Anyways, so just something that I think of that I run into a lot is you see a bunch of overweight, dumb adults sitting at a table pontificating and spouting their opinions about some flavor of the week news story or about politics or whatever, and a child will run up and start to try to get the attention of their parents, and the parents shun them, ignore them, just tell them to go away. And a lot of times the child has a serious problem. They'll be trying to get the attention of their parent and say they have to go to the bathroom or that they're really thirsty or something. And I see all the time people just pushing away children and acting like their opinion doesn't matter. And like what they're doing, the adult is doing, is so much more important than anything. And children are just so much more, of course, in the moment and, caring about things, immediate things that actually matter, like I have to go to the bathroom, or hey, Sally is in the other room hitting Mark with a ruler. I don't know. Children are real things, and the adults will be at the table just spouting about things that really don't matter, and they ignore the children. Have you guys ever seen that, where an adult is just totally ignoring or blowing off a child, and you're sitting there as a third observer, and you can hear the child saying something like, I'm thirsty, and the parents are like, shh, not now, go away. It's just, it's not funny. It's really sad how children get treated, and I remember getting treated like dirt as a child. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 25, I, even I, am he that blotteth out thy transgressions for mine own sake, and will not remember thy sins. And so this is just one aspect of being a child. Children don't know about one another's baggage or know about gossip or anything like that. Children are friends with people based off of proximity. And by the time people are adults, everybody has so many shields up around them, and people aren't even friends with their neighbors or friends with their coworkers, really. There will just be little cliquey groups for the most part. And if you're a natural human, forget about it. So this is just one aspect of heaven that I think about, and so this is one of the greatest blessings of the kingdom of heaven. Even God will forget our sins. And clearly you don't want to try to abuse this and be like, oh, cool, then that means I can go sin because we're not going to remember it in heaven. That's not how it works at all. Okay, you need to make it there first. Got to make it to heaven first. But this is something that I think about that just makes me feel better, knowing that the things that haunt my mind, the sins that I continually repent for, there will be a day that I literally won't even remember that. And it's going to be a great blessing. Personally, I have a really bad memory, And I take it as a blessing. There are a lot of things that have happened to me in the past that I literally don't even remember them. And I could even talk about certain traumas. Like it might be a sort of blessing that most people, they don't even hold on to traumas. The memories get wiped. And that's how it's going to be in heaven. But anyways, to bring this to the children thing, children don't carry around baggage or thinking about other children's baggage. Everybody is everybody's friend, just based off of proximity. There's this in Jeremiah. You can read beforehand if you want, but this is just for context. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. And so just like children, nobody knows if a child is a different social status. So it's always the adults that come in and start to put these restrictions. People have told stories about how they remember being a child and how it was great. They could go up and make friends with anybody, but then an adult would walk up and rip the other child away. Like, you're not allowed to play with that person. I just love this idea, though. You know, children will go play with anybody, and we have to teach children about stranger danger and all stuff like that, but it's not going to be like that in heaven. Because God already did all of the weeding out the bad. So there won't be such thing as stranger danger. Everybody is one another's family in heaven. And that's just a beautiful thing. I think of these crazy playgrounds. We're going to be like kids again, but real kids, not in 2020 with the being forced to wear masks by parents, crazy helicopter parents. There's going to be a freedom. Just an amazing freedom that children have, and before it gets squashed out of you. And yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. That's so something that comes to mind is, and this just shows you how backwards Satan is. Satan undoes Satan. A big thing about Satanism is do as thou wilt. And they like to pretend that by following that do as thou wilt mantra, that they have some sort of freedom. But really all it is these people just use that freedom to do a bunch of degenerate stuff. But our real freedoms continually get ripped away from us. We're almost at the point where people don't even have autonomy of the body. And they'll pretend like we're so free today. And yet children can't even be children anymore. Not that looking at something like this like gives me a heart attack. But I just love the idea of the freedom, a real freedom that we don't even know about anymore today. A freedom to not have to work a slave job just to exist. There's going to be so much freedom, like a childlike freedom. But children today don't have the type of freedom that children should have. And I think that's probably a big part of why a lot of children are misbehaved today. And it's because they're brought up in such a crappy time, unfortunately. I just thought this was just a one-off interesting thought. Something about being like childlike, being very childlike. Babies, the first thing that a baby does when they know how to crawl is they crawl around the floor and they put literally everything in their mouth. So it just reminded me of, Willy Wonka when they open up the doors and they get to go run around and eat everything, all the scenery that's around. Like that's what heaven's going to be like. Everything is going to be new to us to the point where it's just like, it'll be overload, I think. Like this whole place is overload for a baby, and it's going to take us a while to acclimate to it. And it'll be so different, so interesting. That's why you should never believe anybody when you see those YouTube videos or some stupid news segment on TV. I died and went to heaven. This is what it's like. Heaven is going to be so ineffable. So ineffable just means that the words don't even exist to describe it. In the same way as a baby can't describe this place to you and they need to just stick everything in their mouth to try to figure out what's going on. Like that's how heaven is going to be for us, I think. I don't even think we have the words to begin to describe it. And that's why so much of the Bible that's talking about heaven or Book of Revelation, it just needs to be spoken of symbolically. And It's because the words just don't even exist. So many words have been deleted, and the English language is full of spellcraft, and there's just no way to describe what it's going to be like. So I just thought this was kind of sick. I just looked up children at daycare, and look at this one, the importance of blah blah blah. They are just incessant with their programming. The reason that I just picked this though is I had some image of my mind and how maybe the kingdom of heaven is going to be kind of like this, where there will be groups of kids going around with, except instead of some baffo teaching people about a spinning ball deception, it'll be like an angel. We're going to get to interact with angels, and we're going to actually get to see God. And I just thought that's an interesting thing. Think of how little children, they're running around in packs being taught different things. We're going to get to learn all sorts of new things. And yeah, have fun. Little children, nobody cares about who has the best voice or whatever. They're all just in it together, having fun about it. Children love singing and dancing. So much bright orange going on in these photos. For me, that's like really interesting, because I'm the kind of person that, gosh, I would never like sing in public or dance. I don't dance, but maybe it's the kind of thing that in heaven we're all going to feel so free, and maybe that'll be the kind of thing that I do in heaven. I have no idea. So I just want to end with this. It's just a really sweet, endearing thing about young children. So I have children that are this age right now, and yeah, it's the kind of thing that just melts your heart. How much children, they love to get up in the middle of the night and go sneak into their parents' bed and sleep with their parents. It's going to be like that, but we're going to have God. We're going to actually be in the presence of God. And every night we're going to want to get up out of our bed and go sneak into God's bed, be with our Father in that way, in the same way that children want to get out of their bed and go sneak up for comfort with their parents. I just think it's really a sweet thing to think about and to put in perspective of we're going to be like that, but towards God. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. God bless everyone.